Hello, my name is Shay Hicks, and this is Technology Teacher Tips, and this is video observation number 2. Today we are going to discuss, this can be for new teachers, and it can be for paras or just anybody in general who does have interactions with students, especially on Chromebooks. We're going to go over a few different topics. We're going to talk about Skyward, DMAC, that is the system that our district uses. We're going to look at Google and some different Google Classroom, different tips and tricks in there. GoGuardian, we're going to set up a GoGuardian account just so you can see what that looks like and what different options they have. We're going to look at some Google applications and different ways that we can use them. Blooket is becoming the new hot game for our students. We moved from quizzes, from Kahoot to quizzes, and now they're into Blooket, and we're going to talk about why and different ways that we can use that as a resource to benefit us and our students. And then there's some other teacher resources that we can discuss that are available out there that are technology-based and that we can use more in the classroom. So here we have a QR code. You're welcome to scan it, or you can type in the little short code. But this is going to take you to the slides that we're going to go to, or if you have a printed copy, you're good to go already. So there's multiple ways of viewing this, and this is going to be for you to keep. You can use it, you can share it with some people that you know. I know that I would like to give those to new teachers in a new teacher folder just so that they have that handy, because some of these do just list out the steps for completing those different reports and items in there. So first we're going to look at Skyward. With Skyward, many of us were not giving a true introduction to what is Skyward and how can we use it. We're not really entirely sure of the different percentages for some teachers about the different colors in there for putting in grades. So we're going to look at attendance, how to post that, class information, how to view it, entering grades, how can we do that easier and what does that look like. Some teachers are still unaware that they can email guardians. I like to just email the parents the answer key and then let the kids meet with them to check over their homework or different items that they need more focus on. Students can receive emails. We know with them coming more into their own in this grade, they're going to be moving more on their own independently. So having access to them knowing what grades are due, what the assignment dates are. And then we're going to look at discipline referrals. A lot of the times if we have a discipline issue, we're going to contact admin for that, but then they're like, okay, put that referral in. So you're like, how do I complete this? How do I do my part of the job so that they can get that information? And then lastly, how to submit end of the year grades. This is more of a PEIMS level, and we do have to submit those, and making sure that you're clicking the right items in there can make things a lot easier, so you're not printing out 20, 30 page reports left and right. Okay, so for Skyward, I'm going to pull that up for us right here. And we're going to log in. No, we're not going to click around. Okay, so for Skyward, what we're going to look at next is teacher access, attendance, and after that we're going to view class information. Let's go to this window. So whenever you are putting in grades, it should pull up even though we finished this semester already. I'm going to go here. So your grades can be different colors depending on how you code them. You can go to add assignment. It can be a daily grade, a lab grade, a quiz grade, a test, or a tournament, which we do not use. I like to do daily grades for quizzes. You're going to type in what it is, maybe a little bit extra information, especially for the parents to see. And then you have the option of scheduling that post. Go ahead and putting max scores in there, which we usually just leave that alone. And then you have the option of seeing where you want to post that. And then once you have selected all of those items, you hit save. And you can either save and score or save and enter another option in there. So I'm going to go back. And then up next, I want to show you how to post daily attendance. You're going to hit the post daily attendance from the teacher access area, and then you're going to go by name. And then from there, you'll just select whoever is absent. The office does the tardy coding, and then present, and then hit save. The thing to remember about attendance is you can't take it too early and you cannot take it too late. Even if you do take it too early, the office will still contact you and tell you not to do that because it confuses their system as well. Another item that Skyward has is going to be reports for classes. And this can be like whenever we get our red backpacks for emergency, our different emergency procedures, we do have to take roll, and sometimes having that information for each 3 classes or 4 classes, however many that y'all teach, having that handy is going to make things a lot easier. So in order to get your roll for, let's go home, start fresh. In order to get to your roll, you're going to go to your grade book first, and that always sounds really weird. But in order to do that, you have to get your report drop down. And from your report drop down, you're going to go down to class roster. And then from here, we're going to create a new item. And with this new item, we're going to call it a new template. And I like to just say, I don't know, your name and then the year. And then we're going to hit save, and then we're going to select what reports we want to see in this paper. How do we want their name said? Do we want their student ID? And this right here is like really good, especially whenever you get into DMAT testing and they don't know their birthday or they don't know their student ID number. And that can be a real tough moment to try to have that conversation with them, like, what year were you born? So by having that cheat sheet, you can kind of go, oh yeah, remember, this is your birthday right here. So entering information can be a little bit easier if you've already have it printed. So here you can see their name, their ID, you can have it sorted by their name. What we like to have is we're gonna have that phone number on there. Sometimes Skyward will let you print a student picture if your class is small enough. Sometimes it won't. So it really just depends on that. And I like to include primary guardian and email address. Email right there. And then that way, oh, it doesn't like that. And that way, whenever you have a field trip or you go, even if it's across the street to the football field, you have a roll right there with all that information. And then you're gonna hit save. It's going to take a while once you try to hit that print button because it's downloading it. And it's going to push it to a new pop-up. So you're going to hit display report. And you should have your classes done by their name, their ID, who their parents are, and the best way to contact them right there. And you can do this by whatever options in here that you feel like you need for your class. If you just want to do their birthday and their student ID so that they can log in, that would be easier for them. Some different options that Skyward has. Let me minimize, too many tabs. With grades, printing grades can be hard, especially for teachers. Once you get that checklist in, you are just trying to get that done. That way, as soon as that's done, you're done. So whenever you print grades, the best and easiest way to do this is the same just about. You're going to go to reports, grade sheet proof, grade sheet. You're going to add new. And we're going to do grade book 23. I like to have an idea. And you can select the term that you would like to print, and then you can hit save and then print from there. And that's for your grade book, and that is for the PEMS office at the very end of the year. They need that information. I just exited out loud. Up next, I'm going to show you how to send an email in Skyward. Let me just get the log back in. I will highly suggest doing this on a Chromebook because if you do it on your phone, sometimes the browsers aren't supported with the messaging system, and that can get really confusing, especially with iPhone. So to send a message to your people who you have in Skyward, you're going to go to Recent Messages. You're going to go to, you can add it for multiple classes. You can add it for just your homeroom. It really depends. I like to add it for all classes. You're going to put a title up here. If I can spell, Y-T-L-E. And then you can put your content here. And this can be like For each 3 subjects, you can all have one document that you're commenting, okay, we're doing this in science, we're doing this in math, we're doing this in reading. That way, the parents will have a good idea of what each class is doing, not just for one different topic. So to post this, you're going to go to send as an email on, and this can also be scheduled out. So if you know 3:35, you want to send this email every Thursday about Thursday folders, that's definitely possible. You can, you're going to click email to guardians, and that will just only send to guardians. There is an option in there to email to students, so post to students right here, and it can be just those students in the class. There is a way to schedule this in a different email. I'm pretty sure it's just that button right there. But this is going to show your classes, and you just select who you want for that to go to. There is a way to attach a file. Say y'all had a party day and you're trying to add some pictures in there. You can just choose file through attachment, type that in, and then you got to click upload, let it upload. And then you're going to repeat that process for any other images you like to add. Sometimes scanning documents for stuff that needs to be signed for the next year, or information that needs a quicker response, like digitally, that's a good way of getting that out there. The thing about this is, once you hit save, that's how it sends. There's no send button, and sometimes that can be confusing. And another thing is it goes into the future with when you're going to send that email. So right now it's 1:17, but here it automatically projected it like about 30 minutes out. So just if you want to change that, you can. If you want to have it at a different time or date, go for it. But once you hit save, it's sent. You can go through and check your sent mail, and it should pop up for every parent in there. Save without closing. And that, my friends, is Skyward. I love Skyward because it's a functional tool. Just be aware that even parents can see grade averages for how your entire class performed for a certain test. A lot of teachers don't realize that parents can see that information, and that can be a little awkward sometimes if that is brought up and somebody's grade wasn't nice. So I looked at how to enter grades. You're going to do that by assignments. You can do it by a common assessment or a test grade. Those percentages are automatically changed in there for you. Emailing parents, you can email students, you can forward it, you can post those ahead of time so that way it sends them. Discipline referral, that is something we did not look at. So with the discipline referral, nobody likes writing those, but sometimes they have to happen. With that, you're going to go to that student who made that choice. Let's say it's this sweet soul. So what you're going to do for a discipline report is you're going to select the student, go to discipline, go to add. From there, you're going to select the location of where it happened. Usually the officer we leave blank. They're going to leave that to the office to figure out. The offense is going to be a teacher referral. Location, did it happen on the bus? Did it happen here at school, in the hallway, outside, at recess? And then note that this is a classroom referral. This isn't somebody from a different department getting more information for this kid. So the thing that I would recommend for new teachers is to not use names, to use student A or student B, or student 1 and student 2. Because if you enter names in there, you're going to have to redo it. This information is kept and it's viewed by many different people, so to have that barrier between knowing who they are, that is a legal documentation as well, making sure that you're not violating FERPA. But let's say the student punched somebody, we went ahead and wrote them up, did everything. You have to mark that that parent was notified in order for this to be processed. So notification can go in many different ways. I like to do a quick email. If it's something that needs to be verbal, then of course make that phone call. Take that time during your conference to let that parent know exactly what happened. That way, whenever the student gets home, they already know what's happening, they already know, and we can get ahead of it together. If there's an image or something, or a form, or maybe documentation of a note that had happened, you're going to attach that there and hit the save button. That save button is going to send it to the office, and admin will each get a menu of options for them to try to see who's going to tackle that one. let's look back over here before I exit out of that. But there's a lot in here that we are capable of doing.
I have a question about Skyward.
Of course, what's
You
that?
mentioned earlier that parents can see grade averages and all that.
Mhm.
What else can parents see in Skyward?
I'll log in there and show you. So we're gonna go to the home. I guess I could have went to the grade book. And let's see. We can see. So a parent's gonna be able to see any missing assignments that that student has not turned in or that you have not put a grade in for. They'll be able to see the report card grades. They'll be able to see, you can even see how many times they have logged in on there. They can see even on their grade book.
Can they see an office referral? If you were to put it in, could they see the reason why through Skyward at all?
If it's been processed through and the admin has already released it, yes, they are able to see that. I can come over here to a common assessment and I can view the average, the high, the lowest scoring, the median. I know when that grade was taken. There are other options in here that we don't really necessarily use for assessments in Skyward. We do that all on our own different platforms. They can see their, let me get out of the grade book. They can see their attendance as well. If you delete anything, it does show that something may have been removed. They can see real-time adjusting of grades. If you just put in a grade, a lot of the emails will say that your child's grade has been posted. I was trying to see what, right here. They can see information, making sure that their information is correct in Skyward. That can be a hiccup for some people. But really it's just the grades, the emails they can see whenever you had sent an email. And that just sends to theirs and it shows your email even though you sent it through Skyward. But they can mainly see grades, attendance, and discipline issues. That's a good question.
Thank you.
I feel like I need to get up more. Alright. So we've looked at grades, we've looked at discipline. Up next is the other scary monster creature, DMAC. I know administration this year hasn't thoroughly dove into DMAC like the teachers have. So I feel like the teachers just have the information that they really need to make sure that they're meeting those students' needs. We can kind of jump over that hill. So trying to enable student supports like text-to-speech calculator, teachers need to understand how to do that. How to find a test if they selected so-and-so teaches them this subject but they don't. How do you go back and find that test instead of making them take a whole other test again? How to refresh a test whenever that kid gets kicked out or maybe it goes to the bathroom and the Chromebook dies. How to print student responses. Almost all of our assessments are on technology. And with removing that paper away, the students have nothing to reflect on whenever you review an assessment most of the time, other than their notes if they do take notes. So being able to print their responses holds them accountable, like you did select this, this is what the computer said this is not your error, you misclicked something. But making sure that they have that documentation, they have that paper whenever you go over the test. And then how to know who to pull for small groups, how to view assessment data. You just took this test, how did I do? How can I view this? And making sure that you have a printable plan for students to follow. We did have more small groups, especially towards the end of the year. And then making sure that the students individually know what they need to work on. Because for some subjects we don't have homework and some you do. So having that, that information. So for supports, calculator, text-to-speech, you're gonna log in. By the way, this is a light bulb, if y'all didn't know that, and that's gonna take you always back to your home screen. So if you ever get lost, click the light bulb. Oh, let's see if this remembers my password. We may not be doing this on there. But anyways. Isn't it weird whenever you have all of your stuff saved on there? I'm gonna pull this up later. But in DMAC, there are options for student supports. Once you get logged in there, you're going to go to TEAC score. And on the left side, you're going to have a list of students in there. You're going to select that student who needs that support, and it literally brings you up with like 2 columns of check boxes. And it says text-to-speech and calculator. So you can easily accept those items, but be sure that you save it and then refresh it to make sure that those supports stayed in there. Because if you type it in there and then go back, it's not saved in there. So making sure that the students have their accommodations. I was really hoping I could log in so I can show you all this. There's some portfolio options for student tests and seeing that data in there. I'm gonna try one more time. We're gonna try it. Educators. I know what it is. Is that it? Nope. Well, we tried. So in there, after your student has taken a test and you cannot find it, whenever you get logged into DMAC, it's going to pull up the same basic screen. You're going to go to TEAC score. You're going to go select that student. Whenever you select that student, you're going to go to data, and it's going to pull up any test that they've taken here recently. It's going to start with the most recent first. And the way that our tests are, we do the SS for social studies or SC for science. What is it? MA for math, I believe. And that way you can go through and see the dates and look for the subject and be like, oh, here's today's date. ELA, they took this test at this day, here's their grade. That way you've got an easier way of finding their information just by clicking on that student and go into that data.
Do you want mine?
Yeah, sure. I'm so sorry. I usually have them saved on here.
I'll give you it's my campus one here. Debbie King, INT. King, NS.
King,
4407.
NS,
Where did I didn't make it.
4407. Wonderful. All right, so like I said, if you are looking, let's go back here. Yours looks very different from mine.
It's a campus one, which you should have this year, I think. In a lead?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, you will.
It does
Yeah,
look
it does
different.
look different. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
It's basically.
I'm just trying to see what else I could use in this. Because I know with responses, if they were taking a test and say they went to the bathroom and it says you need to sign back in to finish your test, with a teacher perspective, it's going to look like they're not able to take the test anymore. And it's kind of scary because then you see a big red X in there and you're like, I don't want to delete it, but I need for them to get in it. You're going to wind up clicking this one once, and then it'll ask you, would you like to refresh their test? And you click yes, and then this information little deal will pop up there. That's how you refresh a test, and that's only through online sessions right there. Whenever, I don't think I can view students' data in here, just one individual student.
Yeah, you can. Go to reports. Student. It's gonna make you choose a test right there though. See where it says off.
Yep.
There you go. I don't know what will still be in there if they might have cleared everything.
I'm not gonna mess with any of
Okay.
that. Thank you. So with this, you can look at how to find their test, how to refresh their test. Of course, everything's listed in the PowerPoint. You're gonna go to the responses, online sessions, select the test, click the scary X, and then the refresh is gonna pop up, and then it should save it, and that student should be able to log in there. Another way, this is how you can print student responses. And this is if you, I didn't see any assessments in there for me to pull from. But you're gonna go to your local assessment or your TEAC score, and then go to the reports area, and that's any report's gonna be right there. Select your test that you're trying to get a report over, and student responses. That's the main thing that you have to click. It's easier to do print by class. That way, whenever they come in, you've already had them all sliced, and everybody's got their responses for just that class, and not all hundreds of your children that you teach. But you can do this by class. You're going to view the report. You can view the key, and that's going to help with adjusting their scores, or export that. If you are documenting your small group, which we should be, and your drive, you can literally copy and paste those first 2 columns of the export and paste it in there and you have your documentation for it. So that's a feature that I found is really, really useful. Instead of just hitting print, make sure you hit that export. It's going to push it to a sheet and then you just copy those 2 rows. It just makes it a little bit easier instead of typing everybody's in. Assessment data. With our teachers, we are constantly, immediately refreshing our data just to see how that first period did on the test and how can I help second period. Or how can I fix this and not do this again next year. So knowing your data as soon as it comes in is the gold of what's going to drive our instruction. So you can look at the responses, make sure that they are scored first. And this can be like your short responses as well, rating those, making sure that that information is in there before you run your report so it can use those TEKS to help it. You're going to go to TEKS score, select your reports, and then it's going to give you a printout of what it looks like. It's a whole bunch of words in different colors. What we try to get our kids to focus on is going to be those green words, and those are those readiness standards, and that's what they need to have concrete by the time they leave our grade. So you can see the correct answer percentages and the student percentage. So it's going to list each test. It's going to give you the correct answer percentage and then tell you how the kids did and they pick the other percentages. If they all chose C and it was clearly A, you know what you need to go back and talk about. And then that last page is going to show you a really good visual bar graph for each question and give you a good gauge of how they did overall. Small groups. This is really, really where the teaching matters most to me personally, is making sure that you are getting those students who really need help, that they need. With students being able to do their own tutorials during lunch is kind of scary. So I feel like by making sure that those students know what they need to work on, really help that out some. So here we've got some more reports to run, but this one can be different because you can select. And I don't know if I can do this on yours, Miss W. Because I think you know what I'm trying to run. It would be a report.
You should be able to.
And I would do, let's do science.
Change it. But
Yeah, let's do fifth grade. I'd rather not see whatever.
Oh, should you change the school year? Oh wait, never mind.
I'm wondering if they've cleared.
I don't think this is. Oh, I knew my
Oh, you're in online session.
I thought I was in reports. Okay.
Oh,
there we go. I like this way better.
Good, they haven't cleared them.
Awesome. So if I were to look at benchmark data, let me go back here to my slides, make sure I'm typing in the same thing. You're going to go to reports, select the test. I'm just going to select one test. You're going to go to reporting category tutorial, and this is going to tell you groups of students and what areas that they need that help in. So we're going to go to reporting category performance, and then you can export it, of course, but we're just going to keep it.
The student.
Keep it here. And this is going to break down for this subject. It's going to break it into the 4 main categories that we teach the entire year, and it's going to give you a good idea of where your students are in that one test that I just selected. And it'll tell you how many questions were tested, what percentage that is, and what level of mastery your students met. And this is going to really help. Just that one page for that one class is going to help figure out what big topic do we need to teach again for your small group instruction. And you can do this with multiple classes and multiple tests. All right, so here is another one. This is going to be more individualized for those students. You're going to go through the same processes, except you're going to hit select test, select all students, and then TEKS tutorial. And that will literally take them on a tutorial of what they need support on, and it'll select those lower topics in there. Print individual reports. I like to do it by class. That way you're only just getting what you need for those kids for that class. And again, have them circle at least 2 green standards that they can improve in, that they should improve in. That way they have a good idea of what's expected from them. Lastly, after GMAC, here we go into Google Classroom. And this really was not opened up for teachers informationally, especially during the 2020 year, whenever everybody jumped both feet into it. So different aspects of Google Classroom. How do you create one? You're gonna come over here from Google to your waffle. You're gonna go to Google Classroom. Right here you have a giant plus sign. You're gonna click that and you're gonna click Create Class. Maybe. Create. I'm gonna skip this because I'm not trying to link anybody in there just yet. You can name your class. We'll call this Teacher Tech Create. And then from there, you can start adding people in there, or you can go ahead and build assignments. And the way that we build assignments is going to be classwork. Stream is going to be for any like communication, or you just posted something. That's the easiest way to see the most recent. But the view that we want our students in is classwork. And from here, you can create stuff. You can create something on your own. You can create a quiz, a question. Do we want to eat lunch inside the classroom or outside today? What material might they need? Is there links to resources that the students need regularly? And then you can also reuse posts, and this is golden because the teachers coming in may not know what this button does. They're like, well, what are we reusing? Well, the way that we teach is we have one main classroom and everybody just pulls from that same classroom, so we all have the same uniform stuff. So if I were to reuse something, say that right there, all I do is select that date. I can even have it create new copies and attachments. And then I just hit reuse. And there it is, even my typo from this morning. So reusing is the way of not reinventing the wheel. If somebody else did it, don't redo it, just copy theirs. And from there, you have different options. You can post it to different classrooms. You can post it to just your SPED kids or your Gen Ed kids or whoever really, hopefully it's everybody in your classroom. I do suggest putting a due date on here, because if you don't put a due date, the students really can't follow through with that accountability sometimes. They think, oh, well, the teacher didn't put a date, so it doesn't matter. I always encourage putting a due date. You can add a rubric in there. Sometimes that can get messy, especially with Google. That just happened. Edit. And then from there, you have the option of when do you want this posted? Do you want to schedule it? And this is something that is gorgeous because you can schedule for multiple classes now, and you used to not be able to do that. You used to one by one had to go in there. But this will schedule it out. Pick your date, pick your time, whenever, and it's gonna do it. If you don't want that, save it as a draft, delete it later. What else was in there for Google Classroom? Create an assignment, copy an assignment, and my favorite is to Google proof it. Children thrive on communication, and with technology, that can come around and be a double-edged sword for us. So with teacher proofing, or student proofing, I should say, your classroom, you're gonna go to the settings button right over here, hit that. You're gonna scroll down. It's gonna have, even if the invite codes, I'm gonna talk about this in a second. Students can post and comment. Not anymore. Only teachers can post and comment. Condensed notifications, don't worry about those, I just hide them. Deleted items, see Guardian summaries. You can see if the Guardian has logged into this class. Generate meeting link. You want to make sure that is not visible to the students because they will get on there. Grade calculation. I always try to tell, especially my parents on that day one, no grades in Google Classroom are real. In Skyward, they're real, but the things in Google Classroom, that's just a guideline of seeing if their students have completed whatever it was that day. But that is a way of student proofing. Always make sure that you have students in your classroom and teachers for your teaching positions. If you add your teachers for students, you're going to have a lot of different stuff whenever you come back in here. It's going to be a different color and there's going to be different information because the kids will take over. But to add students, you can literally type in their name. You can put in a code. You can put in a link and have a QR code made. There's many different ways to add students in there, and that's really good for just having even a teacher classroom within your content. That is always recommended. That way you're pulling the same thing that the other teachers are, and it's more accountable. We talked about creating a Google Classroom. People can just type in the names, and that should pull it up. You can copy the link, QR generator, and that different ways that you can do that. Create an assignment. You're going to title it, give the instructions, real short, simple, and sweet. If there's any links in there, you can link them into your assignment. Let's play with that one. We're going to go to edit. So if I wanted to add, this PowerPoint that I'm doing right now, I can go to Drive, go to Recent, which is what it's automatically going to pull it up as, and I can select that item and then hit Save. You can select more than one from there. I like to add the Nearpods in there. That link is good in there. You can also just paste the link in there as well. But that's another way of getting the students their information. Moving on, how to copy an assignment. We went through that. You're just going to reuse, post, select the teacher. Student proof, select the classroom, making sure that only teachers can post and comment, and that link is not visible for students. Join my Google Classroom to learn how to generate the QR code. I'm not going to make you do this because we don't have many computers out, but what I was going to have y'all do is join my Google Classroom, and I'm going to show you what GoGuardian can do for you, but you have to have those students in that Google Classroom first. So with GoGuardian, how many of y'all have heard of GoGuardian before? Yes, my people. This is a free, digital, safety, effective tool for students. If you have a student, if you have a student who's an ISS or GAEP, this is another golden way of communicating with them to be sure that they're doing what they need to complete. With GoGuardian, you're going to log in. It's going to take you to, these are already the Google Classrooms that I have. The way that you can create, you can either import from Google Classroom, or you can just specifically add those students in there. I like to import, saves me the typing. You select whatever it is. Let's say we're going to go here, import. There's nobody in there right now, just me, so it says students or none. So I'm going to show you what it looks like with students in there. We're going to go to summer school. So as soon as you start class, it's going to pull up all of their computers for everybody in that Google Classroom, and it's going to show in real time what they're doing in that computer. There are different options that we have in here. Oh, I feel like a Vanna White. I pressed the wrong button. Okay. You can view what they're doing. You can actually rearrange these now, which is cool because you can put all of those friends together. You can change it by looking at, I like to have their, I can't really see it on this one, but there's a chat option in there, and that is wonderful for students who are, even if they're off task, you can close out their windows, you can open new windows in here, and then you can have a chat with them and discuss, hey, put your Chromebook away, you know you're not supposed to listen to that. And you're not interrupting class time doing that. They're like, oh, there's the bubble, I gotta click that. Oh, she said to put it away. So it's a nicer way of having those moments with students. You can also view, let's try to slide over here, a scene. To set a scene, many of us do mock stars and benchmark testing, and that can get kind of hairy with them being on Chromebooks and making sure that all the kids get to the same link at the same time. So for that to happen, you can create a scene where as soon as they log in, that's all they can enter. If you wanted for them to, I think I said this for practice, I only wanted it to go to DMAC, so that's all that they can open for their test. That's what's going to happen. And you can set the timing on that. You can set the day on it. You can do it instantly, even while they're on the Chromebooks just playing away. You just hit that and it pushes them all to DMAC. So having that is wonderful. It's pretty simple to do.
And it doesn't let them open another tab?
There is an option, like if there's a, if you want for them to have Merriam.com dictionary, just for that, there's a way that you can only put that link in there, that's the only link that they can wander off to. So that is a fun thing to know. Student reports. If somebody is lying to you, I'm not doing this, you're not telling the truth. You can go through and not only search their history, but you can see how long that child was in there. And this is a really great tool for those students who like to kind of pick with you a little bit. Let me find a sweet child I know. You can pick the date range. You can pick even if they have to be in your Google Classroom at that time, but even if like I were to look at Mondays, last Monday, or even the whole week, but we're just gonna stick with Monday. You can go to View Report, you can email report. It's gonna tell you their top 5 websites. Well, we're not here that day. I guess we'll do today.
I know we got on it because I was here.
I don't know why I didn't pull this up. Is that date right? Anyways, it's going to tell you their top 5 websites, their top 5 docs that they have been on, and then any searches that they have. And then it'll also break down into their browsing history, and it'll tell you how long they were on that specific item. So if they were searching up new profile pictures, that taps my khaki sometimes. I can say, yes, you were. Here's the time that you had. Here's what you were looking at.
Do you have to have it turned on for it to record?
Yes.
Then
It has
I
to
didn't
be.
have it on my.
And you can set it ahead of time. Right here, I always cut mine off at 3:30. But I want to say that there is a time where you can set it for it automatically to start at 7:55.
Nice.
Don't quote me on that, but I feel like there is, because they just did it where you can now move them, and that wasn't there before. And I know you can forward it and see that. Just go ahead and have it.
But you can log them off their computer.
hmm But that way, you've got some ways, like, they'll be like, okay, she can pull it up. We're just not going to play that game again. And that can help ease some children's thoughts. But we can look at, and that's going to pull up in real time what they're looking at. What I like is if a student struggles with typing and we're trying to join, say, Lookit, I can go ahead and copy that from my address bar and paste it into theirs, and it'll force it open. So they're not feeling that moment of rushness. So that can be kind of scary. You can import, select your people, select a time, select an end time. It does not go past a certain point because we've got no business watching children past that time. Unless, of course, they're in an extra something. So how to set the scene, those instructions are right there for you. You're going to go to your assessment, whatever link that you want for them to go to. You can even have an allowed list, like a dictionary, or maybe even if it's a different testing website and that they don't get read to. That way they can pull that up too. So you can view their activity in real time, move those toggles around. You can do this on your phone pretty easily. View how long they spent on different items. And now for my next favorite creature. Google itself, I highly encourage teachers to become Google certified, just level 1. That way you're familiar with everything that Google has to offer in its most basic form, because there's a lot of buttons out there and options and different tools that we could really use, but it takes a lot of time to try to figure out. So here are a few snippets of what we do use a lot of. We're going to talk about how to copy slides real quick. Same process for a doc, might look a little different. And then how to navigate sheets. Whenever it comes to different sheets, that can get really daunting and confusing because there's so many boxes and so many options. So looking at a sheet and seeing how do I navigate those pages easiest. So I'm going to take you, we're going to go, we'll make a copy of these slides. So to do that, the easiest way is going to be coming up here to the address bar. Well, let me hit enter. Refresh it again. And you're going to take everything from that backslash at the very end and delete it. And it's scary, but this is the easiest way to copy a slide. So you're going to delete everything after that slash, and you're going to write copy. And then you're going to copy that link, and you now have a copyable link. As soon as people click on that, it's going to force them to make a copy. Now, here's the caveat to it. Did you make it public for everybody to click on? So in order to make it public for other people to be able to access whatever it is, you're going to go to share, and you can, we highly recommend using your ISD, but you can do anyone with the link. And then you're going to copy that link, and then you can paste it up here. And then you're going to go to that last end part all the way to that backslash and hit copy. And there you have a link that you can literally copy the whole thing. You can put it in your Google Classroom or whatever for your teacher friends, for them to have for their students. And you just put on there, copy. And that way, whenever those teachers are in there making their Google Classroom, they can just copy that, and it's gonna lead them directly to a screen that looks like, would you like to make a copy of this? And that way, they have that item, they have access to that item, and the link will, it will work. That's the main thing about it, is making sure that you just typed in copy and nothing else. Some other tools, you can do the same thing with slides, you can do the same thing with docs. I didn't know if you knew it, but if you type in, what is it? New docs, is it? New docs. That didn't work. I'm gonna try it. New docs. That's not gonna work. It usually just pops up with a new doc. And from there, you're gonna do those same processes of deleting everything at the very end, and then writing copy, and then hitting enter, and that'll give you a copyable slide or doc. And that information is right there. I did have an example right here. Let's see if that works. Well, that worked. And this is available for you. If you need to document small group, here's your dates, here's the groups of kids that you need to fill out, and just an idea of what that could look like for one whole semester. But you're just gonna put in those students there. Say I needed to make this available for everybody, all you do is copy. With slides, it can be a little bit different depending on how many slides you have in there. You can have multiple. Let's go here. I'm gonna look at a very wordy slide real quick, and then we can finish up with our review. So sometimes within slides, you're gonna have multiple pages, and it looks very busy down here, and the arrow keeps going. The best way to view where you're trying to get to is these 3 lines right here, and that's gonna take you to all of the sheets available in this entire slide. So if you're doing a week by week with your content, that's gonna be the easiest way to go through and find your information. These things are editable. You can move it, you can change the color, you can rename it, you can copy a whole sheet's information and paste it into a new one, and there you have it. A lot of teachers don't know, and even students for that matter, Control F, you're gonna find whatever it is in that document that says it.
Oh.
And it's just in this one. Whenever you move into slides, it'll run through all of the slides and try to find that information as well. But that is another creature within itself. You can add multiple pieces to that. You can format it and keep those formattings for each different page in there. And copy document, sheets, same thing with sheets. And then lastly, here are some resources, and these are all real resources of assessment, DMAC, walking you through what that report is, what does it do for me, how do I get there. That's a good resource for teachers to have, is how is this made? What information helped make it? Performance descriptors, I'm going to practice giving these out to my kids this coming year. It's going to tell them word for word what they are expected to know for this grade. And I think a student needs to know their expectations, and teachers need to understand what that's going to look like too, especially if they're a new teacher or going into a different subject or teaching a different subject for that matter. They can see what it looks like for each year, each subject. And then lastly, of course, there's different Skyward videos in there, Google support help, Google Classroom support for guardians. I specifically just want for parents to have that information. And now to test your knowledge. So with Blooket, a lot of our stuff is solo. That's the easiest way for teachers to post it. Another way to get there is for us to type in host up here. Sometimes it just says solo in that bar. That way the students can get their points. So we moved from Kahoot into quizzes into Blooket. And the kids really like Blooket because you can get books, you can get points, you can buy stuff, you can trade stuff, you can mark it, you can shop, and that feature's not really available for those other different things. With Blooket, I really like it, and I'm going to show y'all whenever we're done playing. We're going to play my kids' favorite game. all the kids' favorite game. They like Crypto Hack. The thing about this game is I like to pass out the folders, the privacy folders. That way nobody is telling other people's passwords or eyeballing and seeing what they put for something. So you can time this. We're going to time this for about 5 minutes. You can have them show instructions. You can allow late joining. Random names. That has been a popular one that we've had to use in the past due to students choosing inappropriate names. So allowing that, but really the game, you want to know their names so you can try to guess their password. It makes it more fun. So that is entirely up to you. There is amounts of crypto that you can set for this. There is time limits. We're in those now. I'm going to turn this down some. And again, you can scan it, you can type it in, you can copy a link, and I could force it into some students' Google Classroom. Join the game. And I'm gonna tell like I tell my kids, make sure you log in if you already have an account so you can spin the wheel and get your points. Grab my water. Perfect, I like it. We're gonna hit start. Instructions just tell you to choose a password. So you're gonna keep your password to yourself. And it shows you a real-time leaderboard. And if somebody was hacked in this game for this particular game, that is an option. And we won't play this for the full time, just for a few minutes so y'all can get me some data. Mr. H.
He's cheating. He looked at my password. Come on. Come on.
Stay in your seat. Eyes on your own device. Give you about 30 more seconds. Seconds. Eight, 7, 6, 5. Alright. And you have the option of ending the game before it gets too intense. Way to go, Mr. H. So with this information, I like to do formative assessments personally, just to see what they learned last year, kind of might go a grade below and assess them at that level. And then from there, you can get a good viewpoint of how well they did on that topic. So it can tell you how many players, what percentage correct, what's incorrect, what the overall class is. And then it breaks it down into the leaderboard, and you can get individual, if you purchase, individual information if you log in and purchase that. But this is going to give you a good basic idea of, oh, did these kids learn this last year? Do I really need to spend 2 weeks talking about this one topic, or can we nip it in the bud and move on from there? But look, it's fun. It's easy. You can discover. I highly encourage going through and viewing all the questions and answers before you let the kids do it, because there's some inappropriateness in there. To create, you can literally upload from your computer, the internet. You can import where did it go? Quizlet. You can do different ways of bringing those questions in there. Description. It's very, very simple to do, as well as let the kids play, and it's fun. That's what I love about it. it's a lot of fun for our students, actually having those points and being able to use them. But do y'all have any questions about Blooket or Google or DMAC or anything like that that you feel? No? Alrighty. Miss S, would you mind hitting the red button, please? Thank you, ma'am.